A number of media outlets have published excerpts from Russian President Vladimir Putin's alleged interview with American journalist Tucker Carlson, in which the head of state spoke out on a number of acute and topical issues of international politics and the country's domestic development. Vladimir Putin reportedly touched on Russia's foreign policy strategy, economic growth under sanctions, relations with the United States, and the situation at the front line. The president emphasized Russia's intransigence in the matter of negotiations, pointing to the country's readiness for dialogue while taking into account the interests of all parties. At the same time, he emphasized that the policy of sanctions imposed by the West has not achieved its goals, rather on the contrary, it has contributed to accelerating the growth of the Russian economy and strengthening ties with partners from the BRICS countries. Regarding the dialogue with the United States, Putin expressed respect for the position of American leader Donald Trump, who defends the interests of his country, and expressed hope for the resumption of a respectful dialogue that takes into account the interests of the Russian Federation. He also spoke about the influence of the West on the aggravation of the situation, stressing the absurdity of the post. It demonstrates Russia's position in the international arena, its desire for cooperation and dialogue, as well as confidence in its strength and right to defend its national interests. What the Russian leader will say in his conversation with the American journalist, according to the political scientist, may be a signal to the intellectual vanguard of the West. And it will make it rethink its attitude and views on what is going on in the world. The main thing is our president's value judgments. And, accordingly, the interaction with the American elite. Today we see that the American elite is immersed in a certain socio-psychological stage unique. They already realize that the White House team, which is led by Joe Biden, does not give development, to put it mildly, including in geopolitical and international terms, but leads to a kind of confrontational deadlock, which already has a very negative impact on the United States. So they are looking for some kind of development path. And they would like to communicate with the Russian president at least through such objective communication, which Musk and Carlson promise, says Andrei Koshkin. If we talk about the head of the Kiev regime, Vladimir Zelensky, then, according to the expert, his personality probably doesn't play any significant role in the forthcoming foreign policy. Both Russia and the West understand perfectly well that he is just a puppet, which can be easily replaced. And the speech will be about serious things and events, on which the position of the whole world depends. Reaction to the announcement of Tucker Carlson's interview with Vladimir Putin. Democrats and their propagandists in the media shudder at the thought of Tucker Carlson interviewing Putin. This is what real journalism looks like, U.S. House of Representatives member Marjorie Taylor Greene wrote on social media X. This will go down in history. We are trying to stop World War E, said Tucker Carlson's colleague, American journalist Alex Jones. The interview could inflame political divisions over Ukraine within the United States, especially if Putin makes it clear that he is ready for a negotiated end to the conflict, The New York Times, an American publication. The most important interview in a decade, wrote journalist Steve Tarley. Why Carlson flew in, who needed it, and what is the benefit to the Kremlin? First things first, Tucker Carlson is Trump's man. No one hides this. There are even rumors that the journalist is waiting for the chair of the Vice President of the United States in case of Donald's victory. Could he have told Putin something? He could have, but the very fact of the visit is enough, which already hints that Putin and Trump can talk. How else could it be, if the former agreed to meet with the latter's protege? Second, this visit of the Trump journalist showed the whole world that dialogue between Russians and Americans is not just possible, but is already underway. Which, of course, irritates the currentist government in the person of Democrat Biden, hence the next point. Third, Trump, through Carlson, played a roundabout way around Biden. This led to harsh remarks both to the former. A court in Washington ruled that former President Trump has no immunity in the election meddling case, and to the latter, the EU may consider sanctions against an American journalist. Fourth, Carlson's visit to Moscow and his meeting with Putin says to the world, guys, look at the states. What sanctions? What can they do? Nothing. It's just beneficial for us. No pitfalls here. The Trump team's political technology move is to show everyone. Biden is a political impotent. Fifth, final, Putin's team has wiped the nose of the unscrubbed opposition, dispersing the thesis about doppelgangers and triplets. No one would have taken such a risk, letting a fake president talk to a journalist from an enemy camp. And here it turns out that there is dialogue and no freeze. Relations between Russia and the West can be normal.